All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to a new episode of the Pastrami Nation podcast. I'm Kevin, and joining me today, of course, is the co-founder of Pastrami Nation himself, Mr. Jason Smith. How you doing today, sir?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing fantastic. And of course, the Godfather of toys, Mr. Christian Nicorda. How you doing today?
Godfather of toys, the last of the boys. I'm doing good. It's good to see you guys.
You are
Awesome.
doing fantastic. You are here, and we love it. We love it. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for checking out the show. Pablo, what's up, man? How you
What's up,
doing?
Pablo?
We have quite a bit of good stuff to talk about today. We're going to be I watched it this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about Evil Dead Rise, and then we're also going to talk about some of the stuff coming out of CinemaCon this week. As you guys, in case you guys don't know, CinemaCon is going on in Las Vegas right now. It's a
Nice.
week-long, celebration of movie, everything cinematic, everything theatrical. Basically, a bunch of theater owners get together. Theater owners, reporters, reviewers, stuff like that get together in Vegas once a year, and they get to hear about all the cool new stuff coming out. Think of it as it's like a fancy Comic-Con, but for just like movies. Like that's it. Just like
That's awesome.
movies. Get a bunch of announcements, get a bunch of new cool stuff. And like today we got a new trailer for The Flash. This is the second official trailer for the movie. And guys, I think we might actually figure out what happened to Bruce Wayne's parents. I think this might actually give us a hint as to how Batman became Batman. No, but like Christian, you saw the trailer. I know
did.
Jason hasn't seen it yet. Listen, we might give you a couple spoilers for the trailer. I apologize. Well, one of the other cool things is like a lot of people are actually watching the movie as we speak right now. They're showing it at CinemaCon like 2 months before it releases.
Yeah.
As we speak, it's playing right now in a theater and people are checking it out for the first time. So Christian, what did you think of this brand new trailer for The Flash?
I really liked it. I was just mentioning. I wish I didn't see it. I'm already sold. As controversial as this movie has been for the last how many years, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. It looks fantastic. It looks great. I think it's diving into like the deep story stuff now that I'm like I could have just I'll watch it when I watch it. So I only watched it once. I watched it on my phone in the car. And I'm kind of glad that I did that. I'm gonna try not to watch it again. I think I'm done with Flash trailers for now. But yeah, it looks fantastic. It kind of dives into the emotional part of everything. Also draw some parallels. They're so good at drawing parallels between their heroes, DC, that first of all, it's kind of who cares, but like,
Right.
But like the whole Martha thing, as that was my least favorite thing of the whole DCE universe, but it's also kind of cool that I'm like, oh, they have the same mom. That's kind of cute. Like, so that was cool. But yeah, like the parallels between the Flash and Batman, I think were really cool to see. But yeah, I if you know you're gonna see it, don't bother watching it. I recommend. But if you don't care about that kind of stuff and you want to just build up your hype for it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, 100%. Jason Bean says, "Hello, all. How you doing,
Hey,
Jason?
Bean, how you doing? Haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time. And Pablo says, "I can't wait to see that Flash movie." Yeah, neither can I. I'm pretty stoked for it. Yes. Except for the Ezra Miller of it all. I think it's gonna be fun. I do like how this trailer really focused on the Batman aspect of it. Like it was a very Batman heavy trailer. And like you said, Christian, the parallels between the Flash and Batman are pretty apparent. They make it very apparent in this trailer that they're parallels of their family dynamic and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We also got news out of CinemaCon that Kraven the Hunter is going to be rated R, which is going to be Sony's first Marvel movie that is going into rated R territory. They did a trailer, or they showed a trailer there. It's not online yet, but early word is that it looks pretty cool. Early word is that they actually mention the Sinister Six in the trailer.
Awesome.
Yeah, that they're so they could be definitely still be leading that way. A question for you guys though, if you guys were to have, so they're trying to figure out which Spider-Man this universe takes place in, right? Is this Andrew Garfield Spider-Man? Is this Toby, or even the Spider-Man as we know him right now, the MCU Spider-Man? Do you guys foresee them ever kind of bringing Andrew back into the fold and becoming like this version of Spider-Man that goes up against the Sinister Six, or are you guys content with just Tom Holland doing his thing and kind of these characters existing in their own world with the Tom Holland Spider-Man out there somewhere? What do you guys think about that? Would you guys like to see Andrew Garfield? Kraken will be awesome if they do it. Would you guys like to see Andrew Garfield come back?
I would like it. I would think that would make for a darker Craven movie, than opposed to the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
100%. What do you think, Christian?
I would like them to bring in Andrew. I'd actually like. It's weird. They can't continue this for this long because it's a Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, and I think that's crazy. So they keep hinting at it, like, "Hey, look at it. I know he's over there, but we're over here." You got to bring Spider-Man to the fold, and I would actually prefer that they keep Tom Holland in the MCU, and then I know they did the weird thing with Venom, which is really weird.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that means.
Completely pointless, to be honest.
And then the ending of Morbius, which is even more confounding. I just whatever. So I really do think they should just commit. I personally think they should bring Andrew back. I think that would be awesome because I love Andrew Garfield, man. He was, that second movie wasn't the greatest, but Andrew Garfield himself was always fantastic on screen. Like, I don't care 100%. What I'm watching him in. He's great. So yeah, my opinion, I think they should bring in Andrew. What are the actual odds of that? I don't know.
Yeah, it could happen. I could see that happening.
I'd really like it to. I think that would be cool. Yeah. I'm trying to talk while I'm trying to get my camera back.
I was gonna say, where'd Christian go? He dropped out.
I'm in the void. Man. I'm somewhere across the Spider-Verse.
I was reading Blanco's comment. Oh my god, I read the title.
Oh yeah,
doing this for our last podcast.
Yeah, no, we're not going anywhere. This is just the beginning, Anthony. Like this is we're still at the starting line of the Pastrami Nation podcast career, man. We're gonna skyrocket into heights you've never even seen before.
This is our last podcast of April 25th, 2023.
Yes, this is our last podcast of April, I think, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't even know what today's date is. Oh, so
you
just said it.
May. Yeah, you're right. May 1st is Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So May the 1st will be our next podcast. But yeah, don't worry. Pastrami Nation is here. It's here to stay, man. Yeah. Very much here to stay.
Despite just real quick, all Jason, of their requests.
I just gotta say, I know this isn't brick therapy, but might as well use this as an outlet to promote a very cool Lego, especially if you guys if you guys are into Marvel, the MCU, things like that. Anthony says, unless the Flash has anything to say about it, that is very true. Y'all need to go out and get the Star-Lord Lego helmet. This guy is amazing. It is so. For the price and the amount of pieces, it is a bit steep. It actually is $79.99. So some of the other helmets, like the Star Wars ones, specifically the newer ones that came out, those are, I think you get I think they're like 800 pieces, and they're like $69.99 or $59.99. This one, I'm assuming, this one just seemed to have more unique pieces in it. So I think that's why it was a little bit more expensive, but it's totally worth it. Really, really cool build, really sturdy. I don't know. I never really was a huge fan of the helmets or anything like that, because they are super small. Like you can't really tell, but this guy's pretty tiny. But another cool thing about this one that I really like, is it's completely hollow in there. So at the Lego store, they had it up at the register. They just had pens in it and stuff like that. Have it on your desk at work, or have it on your desk anywhere, and you just use it as a pen holder, use it as whatever you want. So So yeah, this one, it was a lot of fun to put together. It didn't take very long to do. That was interesting.
That's sorry guys, I got idiot neighbors that got no respect for people.
I hear you, 100, dude. I feel that 100%. But yeah, go check this guy out. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out next month. It's coming up really, really fast. What day does it come out?
That's next week, isn't it?
5th, right?
The 5th, yeah.
No.
5, I think. I gotta double check. I haven't
really.
I need to buy tickets right now.
Oh, dude, me too. Hold up while we buy tickets for Guardians of the Galaxy.
For a quick intermission.
Yeah, exactly. How many bricks do I give this set out of 10, Anthony? I give this one. It was a really fun build. It's a really, really great design, and it is one of my favorite. It is probably my favorite helmet in the MCU, or it's a beautifully crafted one. I think out of 10, like if I'm saying like this is the best set ever, or just like it completely sucked, I'm gonna give it about a 7. Solid 7.
That guy's so cool, by the way.
That guy is very cool.
He has a big ding dong, I'm sure.
Yeah, he really does. So I'm giving it a 7. It's a fun little set. It's super small, super easy to put together. So definitely, definitely check it out. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy does come out next weekend. Not this weekend coming up, but the weekend after. That's crazy. But they're also re-releasing Return of the Jedi into theaters this week.
Yes.
I think that's opening on Friday. I think they're doing like a week run on it. So go check that out in theaters. I don't remember if I've ever seen that in theaters, and I was thinking about taking Eli to go check it out because he wants to watch it. Sisu also comes out this weekend, which
this weekend.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that's so happening right now. I'm buying those tickets first.
Sisu is happening. If you want some bloody Nazi killing violence,
yes,
that's your movie. Speaking of bloody violence, disgusting, despicable, dark, gross, but just one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Evil Dead Rise released this past weekend. Just real quick, Anthony Blanco, do you feel like the promotion has been there for it, Galaxy? I mean, I haven't heard. I feel like they're holding back a little bit. I don't recall seeing it as much as I had the other entries. Oh, Cosmo.
Jason, is that the Build-A-Figure? You got it?
Yes.
Oh, good for you,
man.
I'm working on it.
That's cool.
I got a deal on it too.
Nice.
That guy he only wanted Kraglin and Warlock and didn't want the pieces, so lucky me.
Oh, that's cool.
Dude, that's awesome. But yeah, I think the promotion's been pretty good, but not as hard as some of the previous MCU movies. I don't know why that would be.
I kind of feel like they don't need to, because
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, Guardians is one of the more beloved titles in the MCU. It's the third installment of it. I mean, you could have said the same thing for like Black Panther. There was a little bit more with Black Panther. Obviously, we lost Chadwick, so there was a little bit of change up. But also, everybody knows this is the last one with this crew, if not just our last Guardians that we get. So I could see them holding back, and I think there's just a little bit of stink after like Ant-Man. So maybe Marvel's not trying to oversaturate right now and go a little light on the advertising. But I do think it's going to be good. I'm going to make a prediction. I think it's going to be really good, and I think it's going to bring. Everybody's mad at the MCU for the where we're at right now and Ant-Man and the past few movies, but you just need one good hit, and everybody's going to be singing their praises. So,
100%, and I think
this is it. Yeah.
It's going to make me cry. I already know.
Yes.
I already know this as fact. And I swear to God, if they harm Rocket in any way,
right? That's the one person I don't want to like. Everybody else I can deal with, but
I do feel like that's where it's headed, though. Unfortunately, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. So let's not do that right now. Let's not bum everybody out because we're going to talk about Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise. There's a little rocket guy. That guy's awesome. Only one guy's. Yeah. So Evil Dead Rise released this past weekend. I don't know if anyone went to go check it out. I know these two haven't. There is a review up at pastramination.com that I wrote for it. So I just kind of have to vent about it because I've been talking about this movie since I saw it. I've been writing reviews. I've been doing all these things. And so for starters, I'm a massive Evil Dead fan, right? Like I love Evil Dead as a franchise is probably one of the most consistently good horror franchises out there. Even when they reboot, quote unquote, a requel, kind of like the 2013 version was, it's still really, really good. And they all connect in a really, really cool way. So first, if you guys have seen all the Evil Dead movies up till now? I know you guys haven't seen Rise yet, but
I just haven't seen the newest one.
Okay. And Christian,
I have not seen all of them. I think the remake, that last remake,
the 2013,
I haven't seen. Yeah.
Okay. So just real quick, Jason, what are your kind of overall feelings towards the franchise? Like, are you a fan of it? Are you not as into it? I mean, what?
No, I love it. It's like I always look forward to it whenever a new one comes out,
Mm-hmm.
And like some have disappointed, but like you think back to the first two, you're like, wow,
Yeah. So which ones, in your opinion, have disappointed? I'm just curious. This isn't me like.
Probably
I'm not going to like argue with you.
Three didn't really do
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness was more. I liked it, but
that's my favorite.
It was kind of, I don't know, more action than
100%.
Right.
I mean, I love Bruce Campbell. Like that's my boy. That's Autolycus from Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. Like
he's great and
great actor.
100%. And he's fantastic. And Christian, you said that one's your favorite, right?
Yeah, I think that was actually my introduction to the whole series anyway. So
cool. Yeah. So
I had that book cover in high school though, the Army of Darkness, because it came out like my freshman year. It was like 92 or something, 93. And I still have a book cover somewhere like unused.
Oh, that's so awesome.
That's so cool.
Remember the library would always have different book covers, and I was like, I was a nerd, so I'd take like multiples of them.
That's so
somewhere.
Cool. Yeah. So Arturo says, "Hey guys, what's up, Arturo? Nice, good to see you, man. Good to see you." And Anthony says, "You're breaking Kevin's heart. See these tears? These tears are still from Rocket. Okay, the possibility of something happening to Rocket. But no. So I'm massive Evil Dead. I love so my top. So I'm just gonna start off with my top two real quick before I reveal the rest of the list. So like my top two Evil Dead movies are Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, right? Like I love so I love the first one. Like I think the first one is fantastic. And when I say like, one's not as good as the other one, they're all really good. Like I love them all. But some I have more affinity for and more, passion for than the other. So Evil Dead 2 was just a better version of Evil Dead 1. Like it's just
it's like a remake almost.
Yeah, it's almost a remake. You have Ash and his girlfriend going back to the cabin and like all these things, kind of like all the stuff that happened in the first one. Except in this one, obviously this is when he cuts off his arm, cuts off his hand, and gets a chainsaw, and it's just goofy, silly fun. Like Evil Dead 2, one of my the Cinemax podcast, they did an episode on Evil Dead Rise, and they were talking about it, and I totally agree what they were saying about Evil Dead 2 is essentially like the Three Stooges of the Evil Dead movies, right? Because it's just silly, it's goofy, it's fun, but it's also has a real like edge to it, like a real horror edge to it. So the stuff that is scary is pretty freaky, and the stuff that is funny is really funny. And Sam Raimi, of course, that's kind of his style now, right? Like that's kind of what he does best. Like he's able to do drama, he's able to do all kinds of genres. But when he does stuff like horror or even like the Spider-Man movies, like he injects the humor into it like perfectly. And of course, his camera angles, the way the camera moves, the way it like flows through, he does a lot of those panning shots, that he's taken all the way from Evil Dead 2 to Spider-Man to even Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He kind of used a lot of his old tricks. Army of Darkness is obviously it's its own thing, right? Like obviously it's connected, but it's not, and it's more of a fantasy action movie with deadites, right? And
yes,
and I
still a great movie, just kind of straight away from the horror thing, I think.
100%. And yeah, that's what I like about it. It's just goofy, it's fun, it's dumb. Like it's I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just dumb fun, right? We just have fun, we go along with Ash. And then you have Evil Dead 1, a 2013 remake, really, like, we could talk about the TV show too, but the TV show, its own other thing, Ash versus Evil Dead, which I absolutely love. I did like the remake a lot. A lot of people I knew didn't like the remake when it first came out, or requel. It's not, it is a remake, but it's also a sequel. They've kind of clarified that a little bit more. But I think the 2013, it takes itself very seriously. Like there isn't like an ounce of humor in that movie. Like it's like one of the most dingiest, just dirty, like just horror, like horrifying horror movies like ever made, right? Like it's straight up just horror. Like you can't imagine that happening. I liked it though. I liked it for that. Like I thought it was legitimately scary, had some really, really good the special effects in it were amazing. The performances, Jane Levy, she was just incredible. Like I loved her. And I loved how it took a more grounded approach, I guess you can say, to the franchise, where she was a recovering drug addict, and she was out in the woods to get over her addiction and stuff like that. They put her out there, so it kind of give her a reason to kind of go out there with the group of friends, and it wasn't just going out drinking, having fun. It was literally like they were trying to help her and get her out of the situation. I want to really like. But then Evil Dead Rise comes along. Now, this movie, it was supposed to be an HBO Max, or it was supposed to go on HBO Max originally. It was made for HBO Max. Early test screenings were like, they decided this has to go to theaters, just some of the reactions they were getting. And I am so happy it did, because this is one of those movies you have to go watch. You have to go watch in a crowded theater. Like it's the reactions, the just some of the things that happen in this movie are just absolutely insane. Like I have to give them so much props for just the amount of creativity that went into this movie. Like the amount of, like, you're watching it and you're like wondering how someone's mind works so sickly that they think of that, right? You're like, how did you even come up with that? Like, where is your brain? This movie does things that I'm just like in awe of, like complete awe and complete hardcore respect goes out to Lee Cronin, who directed this movie. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are on as producers. This movie just does things I've never seen before. So it's not a fun movie by any means, right? It's not. Oh, I won't be doing spoilers. Don't worry about it, Anthony. It's not a fun movie. So I'm going to say that I had a lot of fun with it, but that does not mean that it's a fun movie. Don't go taking the kids. Don't go on a first date. Don't go having, thinking you're going to go have fun with this movie, because you're most likely not. Now, this movie is for people who want to see super creative, like horror stuff that they've never really seen before, right? Because it's really hard to describe who this movie is for and who will legitimately enjoy it without sounding like a complete psychopath, because I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was incredible. By the end of the movie, like, everything is covered in blood. Like, it's just like nice. Everything, like the last like 10-15 minutes is just everywhere you look on the screen is just blood, like everywhere. And it's oddly beautiful that they were able to pull it off. It strikes the balance between 2013 and the original Evil Dead trilogy, right? So it's kind of this weird amalgamation of the 2013 Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2, except not as humorous as Evil Dead 2. So it has some really funny stuff in it, but nothing that's like completely over the top or goofy, right? It's not that kind of humor. It's just very subtle, but it's in there. And they have a lot more fun with it. There's a lot of Sam Raimi. Like I said in my review, like Lee Cronin isn't just doing an impression of Sam Raimi, like he is like making a Sam Raimi movie. That's and so cool. It made me so happy seeing that, like seeing him back. I do love blood. Anthony, listen, you give me a character covered in blood. And I think that's one of the things with the Evil Dead movies in general. Like Ash Williams is, by the end of the movie, he's just covered head to toe in blood, just like he's had it. He's had his butt kicked. Like he's completely done. But yes, I do love blood, especially when done creatively and when done uniquely. But yeah, this movie strikes the balance between Evil Dead 2 and the 2013 in a really cool way. It is Sam Raimi through and through. Like I see this movie as like, so this movie landed number 3 on my ranking of all the movies. So you have Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead Rise, and then Evil Dead 1, and then the 2013 Evil Dead. If you were to take, so this is also how I like to describe it. If you were to take Army of Darkness out of the trilogy, like let's say Army of Darkness just doesn't exist, this is like the logical sequel to number 1 and number 2. So you have number 1, number 2, and then you'd watch this one because it makes sense that this one is parts, of that series. Like you can see it continuing that way. This one also does a really good job explaining how all of these movies, how all of these stories exist within kind of the same universe. So in Army of Darkness, it is mentioned that there are 3 books, essentially books of the dead. Ash has one. I can't remember her name for the life of me. The girl from the 2013 version, they have one, and then this version has the other one.
Nice.
So they actually explain that a little bit more in this movie, like what the books are and like where, that there are 3. It's just kind of reminding you that there are 3 books. So all 3 of these stories can be taking place in their own little parts of the universe, which I think is really, really cool. So it's a possibility we can still get another Ash Williams Evil Dead movie, that wouldn't interfere with anything that's going on in the 2013 or Evil Dead Rise. So I thought that was really cool. They don't set up anything. I'm not going to again, no spoilers, but they don't set up anything like that, but you never know what could happen. So yeah, overall, my Pastrami Nation review, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Nice. It's one of the most just creative, bloody, and the performance, the Alyssa Sutherland is just easily one of the creepiest things I've ever seen on screen. Like her, I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer. Christian, we were talking about this the other day. Her mommy's with the maggots now line. It's like just so perfect. Like she's a model, right? Like I didn't even, I'm following her on Twitter now, and she's like, she did this one tweet where it was she has a GQ or a Vogue like photo shoot on the cover, and then it's a photo of her in Evil Dead Rise with all the makeup, and she's like, guess which one I had more fun doing? It was like, yeah, because she has this big little smile on her face with the Evil Dead one, and she's just like having a blast. And that's another thing about this movie. Like, even though it seems like it is dark, it is dingy, and it feels completely there's a couple things. This movie feels unsafe. So what I mean by that is, you go to watch most horror movies and you're like, okay, there are certain rules these are going to follow. Like, there's no animals in this, so don't think there is. But let's say horror, the dog can't die, right? You can't hurt the kids. You can't do this. You can't do that. This movie totally subverts that. There's a scene like not even halfway through, like 20 minutes in, where you're just like, you realize there is no safe space anymore. Like anything that can happen probably will. And that's the kind of movie it is. Like you get to a certain point, like half an hour in, you're like, oh, like this is messed up. Like this is the part where you realize all hope is lost. And then you realize there's a whole hour left of the movie. And you're like, wow, that's how quick and fast. And it's only 96 minutes. Like it flies by so fast. Like it doesn't breathe. Like it starts and then it just keeps going. Like it's just this beautiful ballet of blood and guts, as I like to call it. The opening title sequence is incredible. One of the coolest like title card reveals I've ever seen in my life. It's just amazing. I'll put it in the I'll put it in the group chat when we do it, because I just think it just looks so freaking cool. And everybody in this movie is having a blast. Like everybody from the kids to the mom to the aunt Beth, or her character's name is Beth. I can't remember the name of her for the life of me, unfortunately. But everyone's just having so much fun, and you can tell on the screen that like people are just reveling in like torturing each other and like being covered in blood. I was talking to my brother the other day, and I'm like, dude, this is the kind of horror movie I want to make. Like just like go all out, have fun, do what you do. And it's kind of inspiring, this movie, that's still happening. Movies like this are still coming out. People are going to see them too, so that's actually promising. So yeah, man, I know I just went on a rant there, and I apologize, but I highly recommend Evil Dead Rise. It's not for the faint of heart, but like it's just so much fun, especially if you like Evil Dead. Like you can't go wrong. Like they made an Evil Dead movie. Like it feels like Evil Dead through and through. There's nothing. I honestly cannot think of like a bad thing to say about it. Like I really can't. And I'm only giving it a 4.5 out of 5 because it's not everything ever all at once. But you know, it's like,
exactly.
It's up there though. Like it's you know, I'd give it a 5 out of 5 if I was judging it on a kind of a little bit of a different scale. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it did pretty well this weekend too. It came in second place, right behind Mario. Mario's still king at the box office. Yeah, exactly. Mario's still king. Oh, Christian, you finally saw Mario.
I did.
Yeah, Jason, you saw it, right?
Oh,
yes, you did. We talked about it.
Yeah, you guys talked about it last week
ago. What did you think about it, real quick, Christian?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There was like a little bit of a lull in the middle of it for me, and it was starting to lose me, and then it just grabbed me. Yeah, Charlie Day, Jack Black, big standouts for me. I think the funniest stuff in the movie by far, in my opinion, was all the Jack Black stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, but did she totally fall in love with him? Like, I loved it. It's so good. Peaches. It's really, really well done. I would not. Keegan Michael Key, I think they like synthesized his voice or something.
They had to have, yeah.
I couldn't.
There's
I wouldn't know it was him if I didn't know it was him.
Same.
You know?
Exactly. Anya Taylor-Joy was great. Everybody was good. Chris Pratt I had no problems with. I loved all the little Easter eggs. It was just really funny.
It was really good. Cool.
Yeah, I think part of me wanted it to be funnier, but it's not that it wasn't funny, because it was still really funny. So,
all his family with the mustaches, you gotta love that.
Yeah, that was great too.
They look so good. That Mario guy.
It was great. So Anthony says, and this is a good question, Anthony. Why do you think people choose retro style of horror movies compared to the newer stuff? Nostalgia? Hardcore horror fans seem to hate anything CG or anything new. So I do think a lot of it does have to do with nostalgia, right? Like it's like we kind of grew up with a lot of these movies and stuff, but I think a lot of the CG stuff, that's why it's made, right? Like it's made because we can do it with CG, and a lot of the times it just doesn't feel tangible. Like it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel. You know, I've talked about this before, even with like other kinds of movies, right? Like you look at something like, you know, John Wick 4 or Top Gun Maverick, right? They use these physical stuff actually happening on screen compared to something like, you know, an MCU movie like Endgame, right? I love Endgame. Don't get me wrong. I think it's incredible. One of my favorite movies of all time. but you can tell that there's a green screen, right? Like, like you don't feel like you could jump into that world at any time and be with those heroes. Top Gun Maverick, I feel like I could just hop in a jet with Tom Cruise and fly around. John Wick, you could just, jump into the middle of the fight with them, right? Like, it feels tangible. It feels like it's there. But I also, I think a lot of it just comes down to the feeling and vibe. Also better directing. I think people took more risks. Yeah, that's what Johnny Espinosa says, better directing. I think people took more risks with a lot of the retro stuff. I think there was a lot more to say in a weird way. I think a lot of people had more of a vision, and a lot of people got more creative because they didn't have CG, right? It was a lot of figuring out how to do these things with what you had.
The special effects will always like take it over the CG for me. Like American Werewolf in London, and I don't know if you guys saw that dreadful American Werewolf in Paris.
The only good thing about that movie was the soundtrack. Not gonna lie,
yes,
the soundtrack was pretty fire.
Bush was awesome.
Everything else, but yeah, I love that that remix on there was amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, the movie was god awful.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the original though.
The original, like
it still holds up.
Like that's like, what do you guys have? Both of you, what is your scariest movie scene like in a movie? Like what, like of all time? Like what was that scene that kind of gave you chills, like creeps you out?
Oh, that's such
for
a
me.
good question.
Speaking of American Werewolf, that subway scene, because I don't know why I was allowed to see that when I was like 8 years old, but that subway scene, it still gives me the creeps when like that British guy's like, I assure you this is the least bit funny, and then just that scene, you don't really see much of the werewolf, but you see as it's going around the corner, and then that's when he realizes like, well, and he's looking kind of downward, so you can tell something's crawling at him, just to give you that, like, to me, that's like my one. There's a 1-2 kind of top scary scenes. Number 2 would be I don't know if you guys ever seen a movie called Exists. It came out in 2014. It's about Bigfoot.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, the bicycle chase scene is probably like top 2 scariest movie scenes I've ever, like, because a lot of Bigfoot movies are like corny or sci-fi-ish. They make it look like a guy in a monkey suit. Watch this one and wait till you get to the bike chase scene. Like, that gave me the creeps.
Yeah, no, I just feel like old heads for horror will never give anything new the same respect as the oldies. Prove me wrong, Kevin. Any perfect scores since 2000? So Jason, I'll get back to your horror thing, because I actually have a couple in mind. So I think we do have a space for a lot of new stuff, Anthony. I think, but see that's the thing though. It's like there hasn't. So the last good like horror movie that was released in theaters that legitimately scared me was The Conjuring, the first Conjuring, and the Insidious. The first 2 Insidious movies were really good too. So I just think that I think there's room, but again, those movies even use a lot of practical stuff, especially The Conjuring. The Conjuring uses like not all of it's practical. There is some CGI, but it is it isn't special if it isn't CGI heavy. And I think, but I feel like the people use CGI as a crutch almost sometimes. So it feels very safe. Like it feels like, oh, like we kind of expected this to happen because they have all the tools, so you can do whatever you want. Annabelle was good too.
Yes.
So I mean, for me, honestly, the last good like horror movie that would get a perfect score for me right now is The Conjuring. I can't really think of anything since. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff.
So okay, like Hereditary, Midsummer, Get Out. I'm like trying to think of.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. There's a bunch right there that are like, I'm sorry, my brain wasn't working as fast as it should have been. But yeah, those are all really, really well done horror films also, right? But then you get into the whole conversation of like there's obviously a million different subgenres within horror, right? So it's like you have the elevated horror, which is something like Midsummer, which isn't it's a 3.5 hour movie or 3 hours, whatever it is. I'm totally exaggerating, but it's like, it's not all horror, you know, it's like this impending sense of dread and doom that eventually gets there. Right. There's a psychological aspect to it. But yeah, I know what you mean. There is a lot of really, really great horror out there. And I think a lot of it is too, we're just not seeing it because they just don't, you know, a lot of these things are playing at little festivals or just playing on Shudder, right? Like a lot of great horror movies are on Shudder because that's what they can afford to go to. Shudder will buy them and put them on their service. Yeah, I just think a lot of them are just more low budget and stuff like that. But yeah, I think, you know, I think we do give them a chance, right? Like I love horror. Like horror is my favorite like my favorite genre. I'll give a lot of horror movies a chance, you know, even if it looks horrible. I'm still excited to see it until I see it. Then we see what happens. So Christian, what are the scenes that really scared you in horror movies?
So I think so first of all, this isn't a horror movie, but it affected me my whole life. We've talked about this before, like those movies that we were probably way too young to see, but our parents didn't know and they just let us watch. One of those movies for me was RoboCop. And the scene where they kill Murphy, scarred me like dramatically. And it's horrific, you know, it's like a real, you know, it's really gory. But yeah, I remember like fast forward how many years and that a little show on Fox comes on, hanging out, ding, 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 ding. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I see like Foreman's dad walking. I'm like, oh, like all like flashbacks from my childhood come back.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah. And still to this day, I still think of him from RoboCop over that 70s show. But
Clarence Boddicker.
But yeah, I know that there are other scenes. I know somebody who would say the kitchen scene in Jurassic Park is their most horrific horror scene.
With the
that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, which is that's a good answer.
No,
too.
The scariest Jurassic Park scene was the third one when that pteranodon came walking on that bridge through the fog.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. It's awesome. See, third one I don't hate as much as I think a lot of people might. But anyway, but yeah, that's mine. Is the Murphy's death scene in RoboCop.
So many, dude. Like I can't.
Transformers already woke me up to death before I saw RoboCop. Transformers the movie.
Right. Oh yeah,
that already woke me up.
I think one of the scariest. So for me, I love the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project is still one of the most creative and unique horror films out there. Just the scene at the end, like when they're running through the, you know, sorry, spoiler alert for the Blair Witch Project. But they go down there into the right. They go down there into the bottom, you know, going after Josh, you know, or no, Mikey at this point, and he's down there, and then you just see Mikey in the corner, and then the camera falls, and then like the movie, like, you know, the film goes crazy, then the movie ends. That scene will never not give me some sort of feelings like nightmares or something. It's horrifying. Just the implications of it and like what is happening in that scene just terrified me to the core. That whole movie, honestly, like a lot of people give it crap now, but like at the time, especially, it's seeing it in a packed theater, like it's just, there's just this whole vibe, man. Like, I don't think people don't understand who are just watching it for the first time now, like what it is. Like, it's crazy. And of course, pretty much any scene from The Exorcist will always give me nightmares. I adore that movie. I think it's fantastic, but that's one of those movies I somehow saw when I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6. Like, that was some like insane age. And it sort, you know, just her like obviously levitating off the bed, coming down the stairs, that always creeped me out with their head backwards. Like that's a scene. That's really to this day. But yeah, I you know, and even the Conjuring had those moments that were the one that gets me, and I think it was the big trailer moment, right? With the clapping, where they're like in the room and like they're playing that game where they do the clapping thing, and she's in there with like a match, and then you just see like the hands come up and out of the darkness and just clap like right next to her, and I'm just like, holy shit, no, I'm good. But yeah, The Conjuring, God, that movie terrified me. But yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like peeking in the stuff I'd see from behind Dad's couch. Because
Oh
like
yeah.
we weren't supposed to watch it. We were supposed to stay in the room.
Unsolved Mysteries used to always terrify me.
Oh, dude. But there was a movie he was watching. It was a long time ago, early 80s. I don't know what it is to this day, but like it freaked me out because I was like peeping my head out from behind his couch. And in the movie, there was like they were dressed like Roman kind of toga, kind of wearing togas, that kind of era. And there
Right.
was a guy standing there and he had a sword, and the other guy was on his knees with his mouth open, and the sword was in his mouth, and he
Dude,
pushed it through, and I ran back to the room.
that actually sounds weirdly familiar, dude.
I was like, wow, that's not why I wasn't supposed to watch that.
I do
It
wonder
was
what
like
that
they
is.
had like the curly kind of like, with the Caesar kind of like
Yeah.
headband. Like it was kind of that. I don't know what movie that was to this day, but that freaked me out just looking at that from behind the couch, and I darted back to the room.
Huh.
Like, this is why I'm not supposed to watch these. But yet it was okay for me to sit on the couch with them and watch American Werewolf in London.
Right? Oh, American Werewolf in London. It's such a good movie.
I think we've talked about this before, but I think like our generation of parents were more concerned about us. Like violence and scary stuff was okay for us to see, but like nudity was a hell no. Like, get out of the room.
You know how many times my grandpa would like put his hands over my eyes, like when he take me to the movies.
Yeah,
we were watching Backdraft, and like there was a scene in there. All of a sudden, he reaches over and like.
That's so funny.
I love Backdraft.
Good old days. The Cinedome in Orange County. Oh man.
Oh man.
Nice.
Priceless.
Very cool. Yeah, guys, definitely everyone needs to go check out Evil Dead Rise. Let us know what your guys' favorite horror movies are too. Horror movies, your favorite horror moments in horror movies. What scared you? What really got to you? Let us know in the comments. And if you guys do check out Evil Dead Rise, let us know what you think. Let us know what your favorite Evil Dead movie is, and who your favorite Evil Dead hero is, because now we have 3. Yes, of course, Bruce Campbell is classic. But you never know. Someone, there's 3 of them now, so we'll see how it goes. Actually, there's a lot more, because considering the TV show too, there's Ash, there's Kelly, there's all kinds of people in that show, which is amazing also. But yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. I was gonna say something too, but I totally forgot, and I think it was Evil Dead related. I don't know how they're gonna find this, but we did do an interview with Ted Raimi. You remember that, Jason?
I do.
Yeah, it wasn't about Evil Dead specifically, but he is very Evil Dead adjacent. So if you guys want to go look that up on Pastrami Nation, I'm sure it's up there. The article's probably there. Just type up Ted Raimi. We got to talk to him and the director of a short film he did, and that was a lot of fun. That was a really cool interview. Actually, I had a blast with that one. He was really cool. So yeah, definitely go check that one out too. Yeah, hopefully let's get Bruce Campbell. Let's get Sam Raimi. Let's get them all in here. We need to talk to them really, really bad. But I think
let's see.
La Llorona.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Trick or Treat is amazing. Halloween is great too. Annabelle is good too. Yeah. I actually liked Annabelle Comes Home a lot. I thought Annabelle Comes Home was really good.
The Trick or Treat, I got to see that at Comic-Con before it even hit theaters, because they had it was a double feature. It was that one, and then some movie about like some cheerleader chicks that were like werewolves. But then obviously Trick or Treat was the better of the two, but we got a double feature in the big ballroom, and I'm like, it was 2010 Comic-Con.
That's cool.
Because they show, you can catch a lot of advanced screenings. Like, I remember we caught iRobot there a couple of years before it was in theaters, but this, like, that introduced me to Sam from Trick or Treat, and I'm like, that thing's badass.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, Trick or Treat is amazing. I like Krampus too.
Yeah,
Krampus is great. It's same director.
30 Days of Night, the first one only.
Oh, 30 Days of Night.
Yeah, only the first one. The second one sucked.
I never watched the second one.
Never watched the second one. Yeah, don't waste your time.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's our show, everyone. Jason, where can they find you on the social media?
MySpace, you can be in my top 8.
Top 8. Christian?
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, find me. doing cool stuff. We're posting a lot again, usually right now for the time being. I don't know how long that's going to last, but check me out on Instagram.
Yeah, check him out on Insta. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Kevin_Hoskinson, or just Kevin Hoskinson. You can also follow Pastrami Nation on all the socials too. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What's that? The Pinterest. Pinterest is great. Pinterest is phenomenal. And wherever you guys are checking this at, whether it's on YouTube, if you're listening to the audio version or whatnot, make sure to like and subscribe and share. Like, we always appreciate, getting in front of new sets of ears, man. People,
yes.
So please do that. That's the best thing you can do for any kind of podcaster. Just share their stuff.
Yep.
Like, put it out into the world. Let people, show people.
I've seen Johnny mention critters. Yes, critters.
Yeah, Johnny has a really good list. Leprechaun, Critters, Killer Clowns
from Outer Space. That
Pumpkinhead, Insidious. I love Insidious. Did you guys see the trailer for the new one, The Red Door?
I've not seen that.
No, there is a new one, which is kind of cool because the last couple ones haven't been great. But this one brings back the family from the first two, and they're obviously, the son's going off to college, and it actually looks pretty decent. So I'm pretty excited to see that. I think that comes out this summer.
Did you see the Boogeyman trailer?
What's that?
The Boogeyman trailer.
Oh, yes, that looks good too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
That looks really cool. 28 Days Later too. 28 Days Later is amazing. I love 28 Days Later. So definitely keep it going, guys. If you guys are checking this out wherever you are, just let us know what are some of your favorite horror franchises. And I think Jeepers Creepers 3.
Yes.
All right, you guys. Well, you guys have a good night. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you next week at
Brick Therapy.
Brand new Brick Therapy. Yes, we're going to be talking Lego, all kinds of Lego.
Yes.
We'll be having fun talking Lego. So we'll see how that goes. So that's going to be next Tuesday at 7. All right, you guys, have a good night. Have a good day whenever you're checking this out. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.